Hi there everyone, Lars back with a long overdue video about how Dungeons & Dragons can help us improve our writing. Brought to you by Camille's Harem, a channel for novice authors by novice authors, and because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. Now, come with me as we contemplate what you can do with that cute, lovable, funny character or goblin that's in the corner of the inn that the players want to focus on far more than your finely crafted plot with all of your intricate characters. Yes, we've all been there. We've all gone through this. We know it's a little bit of a pain, but you know what? This is actually an opportunity to have some real fun. And ultimately, I want to consider what you can do with these funny little characters who are always meant at the beginning to be just kind of little one-note flavor text to the world kind of individuals who, again, just capture the hearts and minds of your players. And so, well, they want to know more. They want to explore more through these characters. And honestly, how does this exploration help us as novice authors to craft interesting characters and side stories? Well, the first thing is this. Do not be afraid to lean into that whole lovable weirdness, that one-note funniness, or anything like that. By all means, that was the hook that grabbed their attention in the first place. Have some fun with it. But what we want to see is we do want to see some depth come down the road. Now, a lot of dungeon masters will approach this little conundrum by coming up with a way of either killing that character or giving them some horrible tragic background, or coming up with some kind of overly convenient way to remove them from the story and picture altogether. Nah, let's be a little bit more creative than that. Let's take the jokey little goblin in the corner of the tavern. Let's play around with Gimbo a little. We'll call him Gimbo for right now. Gimbo, who is the goblin who's insulting people from over his tankard, and the party's just like, you're a funny little goblin. You're making fun of that paladin over there who's obviously supposed to give us our quest line. What's your whole deal? Well, I'm Gimbo. I was kicked out of my clan, and now I just wander around and I give out abuses the same that people give them to me. Oh, you are such a funny little angsty goblin. Head pats, head pats. Buy this poor goblin right here another beer, my good sir. Well, let's take this a little bit further. What can we do with Gimbo rather than just simply make him a character who insults others all the time? The insults are great. Let's continue on with that. And we can also use that he's been kicked out of his tribe. He's a wandering goblin. Well, let's have a little bit more fun with Gimbo. What if Gimbo was also in love with the tavern owner's daughter? Or with the tavern owner. Suddenly it's like, oh, Gimbo, we can help you out. Suddenly the players want to engage with Gimbo even more because not only have their heartstrings been plucked, but now there's actually something fun and creative that they can do with Gimbo. Gimbo should be more than just simply hurling insults. Yes, that's kind of the big thing that drew them on in, but now you want to introduce maybe Gimbo's got a crush on someone. Or what if Gimbo's actually been running a very successful gambling hustle on the side that's allowed him to survive away from his fellow goblins? Or what if Gimbo also is like, hey, you know what? I'm willing to hire you guys to go around and beat up the goblin that really rallied the others to kick me out of our cave. His name is Bimbo. And Bimbo's just this awful brute. Awful. You guys would hate him. And the party's like, yes, we're going to go help you on out. Give Gimbo a little bit more that just, again, brings him a little bit to life. Whether he be a gambler, whether he's got a secret crush on someone, or he is looking for a party for revenge. He's like, hey, you know what? I can't pay you guys now, but you know what? Once we're done, we are going to loot Bimbo for all he's worth. A little will he probably tell the party that Bimbo's only worth about 5 rusted copper pieces. But here's the thing is that as I've been talking about Gimbo and his little potential side quests right here, he already starts becoming a rather interesting character. He still can be the guy who's hurling all of the little witty insults, the little drunk goblin there in the corner, but he's been given suddenly a little bit more depth. And should the players decide that they want to follow Gimbo on one of his little misadventures, then by all means let them do that, because it gives you, the Dungeon Master, a chance to flesh out the world a little bit more, to flesh out some of the characters a little bit more. And here's another thing to consider. If you're willing to reward them for that choice, for this little side quest misadventure, and make it fun for the party, when they return and the impatient paladin is like, oh, I need you heroes for a job, the party might actually be more willing than before to take up that plot hook, because you know what? You've already rewarded them for one of their choices. You've made the world feel more real, more lived in, more vibrant. And as a result, they're like, okay, if the Dungeon Master could do that with a little side quest, and we know that we were just making fun of everything with this little Gimbo guy in the corner. If the Dungeon Master can do that with Gimbo and with a little side quest, what could the Dungeon Master do with a far bigger story? Let's give the Dungeon Master a try. Now, what does this then mean for novice authors? Because, I mean, obviously this is a channel for writers by writers. What exactly does this mean? Do not skimp out on your side characters at all. And while it might sometimes annoy people to deviate a little bit from the plot, which, yeah, can sometimes derail the pacing, so be careful when you do this, but it can be very rewarding to explore the lives and the inner worlds of just all of the little side characters within your cast. And the reason why this can be very rewarding to the audience is that, again, it brings to life your world. It allows them to see some of the nuances. It allows them to better understand maybe the personal stakes involved in the overall plot. A really good example of this in one story is Nicholas the Dangler from the Beyonders trilogy. Nicholas is only around personally for one chapter in the first book of the trilogy, and then he pops up a little again later. But otherwise, he's only present for one chapter. The hero's got to go to him, get some information so that way they can continue on with the main quest. But the thing is that Brandon Mull takes a little bit of time for the main characters to get to know Nicholas just a little bit more, which is, again, it's kind of silly because he's not going to pop up again until very briefly in the third book. But here's the thing, is that by getting to know Nicholas just a little bit better, you already come to discover the intricacies of the politicking within Trenzy Court. You begin to realize just how brutal the Chancellor is, how he's willing to destroy anyone, and in the most brutal, disgusting ways, in order to maintain his power, and get revenge on nobles who don't suck up to him, and how he will outright kill outsiders to the courts. This conversation with Nicholas helps to raise the stakes of what the main characters are about to get into. That by challenging the Chancellor within Trenzy Court, oh boy, they are seriously risking their necks. But on top of that, it begins to set up other plot lines for future characters that are just briefly mentioned by Nicholas, as well as helping you to better understand just how despondent the people of Trenzy Court are without their king and under the thumb of this ruthless Chancellor. And so for a story that's pretty fast-paced, that's written primarily for a younger audience, even adults who pick up this book can already begin to realize that there is a vast world within Beyonders, and that it's full of misery where heroes have lost, and that Jason and Rachel truly are meant to be the heroes to fix all of this within the series. And that's all that we get from this little side quest within the larger plot of going and visiting Nicholas the Dangler. And that's the same exact effect that you can have within Dungeons & Dragons by entertaining the little side characters that the party latches onto. And sometimes those little side characters can become someone absolutely beloved within the story that helps push everything along. And I myself have experienced this as I've been writing some of my own books. When I was writing my first big novel, Knights of Hallicrues, I ended up creating two characters I had never any intention of introducing, Tori and Nessa. Just two characters I introduced because I'm like, you know what? The main character, Ben, he needs some friends. He needs some extra friends. Some friends that are within his age range. Okay, introducing two characters. Here's a little bit of the backstory. Here's their motivations, whatever. This is just going to help pad things out and make it a little bit more entertaining. And oh boy, Tori and Nessa took on lives all their own and ended up becoming absolutely pivotal characters to the overall plot of my Saga: The Legend of the Ten Lords. This is the fun that you can have when you embrace the potential of those funny little side characters who at the beginning you never intended to be all that important. Now, it is possible for these characters to run away with the plot and upend everything, which is why you, either as the Dungeon Master or as the author, need to make sure that you make it very clear what the true story is and what the real stakes really are, to impress upon the players, or upon the main characters, what it is that they truly need to do. And if you want to have fun with those little side characters, especially as an author, there's nothing stopping you from having fun writing your own little fanfic for your own story, your own novella, or even a complete novel just to have fun with those characters. Have at it. But do not skimp on them, because they can absolutely be the key that unlocks tons of fun for your players, for your audience, as well as unlocking all kinds of hidden potential within your world. So there you have it. There's my writing advice from this little conundrum within D&D. If you've played D&D before, you absolutely know what this is like. If you haven't played D&D before, absolutely join up with a group and just experience the fun and adventures and joys of shared storytelling. It is an absolutely great experience, and as an author, I highly recommend D&D as a way of exploring so much of how you can tell a story, how you can interact with other people, and learn from others in order to make your story the best it can be. So with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on this quick little video through the adventures and writing of Dungeons & Dragons. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss!